I do again, Dad?
Remember, decoration is preparation, so start with a really rough sandpaper and working with the grain, keep going till it becomes smooth.
What then?
Well then, do the same with a finer paper. And then, what I like to do is to give it a going over with the...
If your usual source of information lets you down, use the next best thing. bbc.co.uk from BBCI. Know how.
Years back, Andy and I did a series together. He was the star. So what have you been up to, man?
Are these yours?
You've still got this offer from the fan club, being the star celebrity on their fan cruise.
Andy Van Allen is on the boat.
The worst thing about fame is when it goes, it takes your dignity with it.
It is deeply disturbing that the only thing in your lives is a television show that finished over 20 years ago.
Rob Brydon and Steve Coogan in Cruise of the Gods, Monday at 9 on BBC Two.
Have we got news for you? It's the last in the current run, so don't miss it at 10:35 tonight on BBC Two. First, hand over that action man and pause off my Sindy. It's time to share a little bit of love with your toys.
You rang, milady.
Oh, Parker, there you are. I've just finished wrapping the presents for Jeff and the boys.
Rightio, milady. I took the liberty of bringing a little celebratory tipple.
Oh, Parker, well done. Sherry, my favourite. And I see you've bought 2 glasses.
Well, begging your pardon, milady, but seeing as it's Christmas and all.
Oh, of course, Parker. I do love Christmas. And it's such fun for all the children. Do you remember opening all those wonderful presents on Christmas morning? How time flies.
We're on Regent Street. Butterscotch!
Oh. How much would that be worth me?
Oh, don't even think about it.
Have you organised your outfit, Lady Penelope?
Of course, Alan. This is the finishing touch.
Wow, Lady Penelope. I can't even choose which tie to wear.
It's so much easier when you've had lots of practice. And, of course, a certain sense of style to match.
Well, I'm going to have to make a choice soon, or I'll end up spending Christmas in my uniform.
Quite right, Alan. But remember, style isn't only about what to wear. It's more about what not to wear.
This week, we've been casting our eyes over 3 very special little ladies. Yes, these are no ordinary girls. They live in a fantasy world all of their own.
You mentioned the word Barbie, and what does everyone say?
She was tall and busty.
Oh, yeah, she had this bust, you know, that's kind of sells forth before her.
Barbie seemed more glamorous. It was that American element. She was very much a California girl, whereas Sindy had a face shaped like a pie tin.
More girls could probably relate to that doll.
I found Sindy rather freakish looking.
Than perhaps the more voluptuous figures from America.
She had like a very long, thin body. And then this huge, bloated head. It was like she had elephantitis.
Pippa was the smaller version of Sindy and Barbie.
She's very delicate, very small. You can put her in your pocket, take her to school and have lots of fun with her.
Small and stumpy.
She was sort of like the Kylie Minogue of the doll world.
You
know what, Suze? I sort of think we need to go way back to the beginning with these girls.
I totally agree. It's not about where they are now, it's about where they've come from.
Barbie's a materialistic girl, let's face it. I mean, anyone with that amount of shoes, she could give Imelda Marcos a run for her money. She blamed excesses on the American dream. She's kind of buried in the 80s, and it's like all this gold and glitz. Someone needs to take this girl aside and say, hey, you know, less is more.
That's proof enough.
Yep.
Let's go.
Barbie, I thought you were my fashion icon until I saw this wardrobe. It's just an 80s nightmare. Look at these colours. Now we know you're an Essex girl at heart. This is a zoo here because everything is furry. In fact, Barbie, was it fancy dress? Now I think this is the one I want to see in the mirror.
It's like Vivienne Westwood on acid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
in the mirror.
Susannah, I am totally speechless. It's just the clashingness.
Barbie, it's cut too high for your huge tits.
What is this obsession with manner is, you know, and this doll? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I didn't really know, perhaps until I was 14 or 15, about how apparently if you had those measurements, you'd be dead. I love those women in the States who have all the operations to try and get Barbie's measurements, and then they just accidentally die in the last stage. And, oh, that's not as fun a story as I was hoping it to be.
I think at the moment the Sindy's a little bit too heavy, perhaps. You could do with, you know, losing a bit of weight.
You've been around for such a long time now, or maybe I could leave you, but I don't know how.
Cindy, I have to say, I don't remember you as being quite so frumpy, and the wardrobe is so dull. Why get a beautiful velvet coat in brown? Your ankles aren't the thinnest, darling, and they do nothing but make you look like an elephant foot. So we're going to get rid of this, honey. And I just don't know what trip you were on when you bought that. I think we should see that one in the mirror. Okay, that's going to be shown in the mirror.
I get a feeling when I look at you, wherever you go now, I wanna be there too.
Cindy, this dress wears you. It is horrible neck curtains made into a dress, let's be honest. You look like a hot air balloon that's going to take off.
Get down on it.
Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it.
If you've seen Pippa, you'll have noticed she's a little petite. Well, I'm really hoping that Trinny Susannah can give her a brand new look, right spanking up to date. Something really, really modern and swish.
You really don't wanna dance by standing on the wall. Get your back up.
Susannah, it's just this disgusting mustardy yellow orange. And Pippa, it's not unlike the tragedy of your hair, which is like the hair of a foxtail. I would say it looks like it's more been dipped in nicotine. This item here is the epitome of that disgusting colour. Can you see that really close up? It goes with the horrible frill on your disgusting dress. We got to see it in the mirror.
Do you wanna get out?
That was my absolute fantasy life, was Pippa, because she had the most fantastic apartment. It had orange and brown carpet and a bit of green. I've done my best to replicate it in adult life, but I don't seem to have succeeded.
Come on in.
Can you just see how this mustard does not go with your complexion, Pippa? And the gold with the mustard is too spangly. We've got to get you away from this colour. It's doing nothing for you, sweetheart. I mean, no one suits that colour.
What you gonna do? Do you wanna get out?
Whew, all that colour. Their best friends might not tell them what they really look like. But we're not their best friends. And we will. This is now the positive moment. Rules to help you dress beautifully. Now, Barbie, don't be frightened of sparkle during daytime hours. Barbie's always been a blonde, you know, and I think she's getting past it. She's going to look like Bette Lynch soon. Go for it, Barbie. All right, Cindy, you can wear a little puff sleeve because you've got very skinny arms, and your boobs aren't that big, so you can afford to wear a high neck. Create a big head so you can take a big fur collar. Totally agree with that, Trinny. Now, Pippa, You've gone very trendy in the worst possible way, so we want you to wear chic, sophisticated colours, Pippa. You can get away with a polo neck because your tits aren't too big. Those had to be the toughest 3 challenges we've come across yet. I mean, 3 more difficult women would be hard to meet. But look at the result. It just shows what colour can do for a woman. Gorgeous. Exquisite.
Wow, well, Barbie looks fabba-dabba-doo, doesn't she? She's lost her blonde bimbo locks and gone for this far more sophisticated 2-tone shade of brown and mahogany.
She's gone one extreme to the other, hasn't she? But it kind of works in a sort of Cher kind of way. Exactly. The fringe makes it look slightly like a wig, but yeah, better than blonde.
Maybe it is a wig. Maybe her blonde hair is under there.
Barbie.
Who'd have believed it? Cindy's back in flares again, and they're looking really good. They're very trendy, and it's what everyone's wearing at the moment. Brilliant.
But Cindy, what have you done in your hair? It's huge. Your body is tiny. I dread to think what you've been up to. I think it's not to do with nature, Susannah. Cindy, I think we better take a closer look at the potential scarring. She's a bit stubborn, our Pippa, because that hair, I secretly said to her as an aside, you gotta cut it. And she would be having none of it.
I can't believe the transformation. She really does look like a different girl. Her hair is so much better with the highlights. I'm glad she didn't go with the haircut. I really do like Pippa's hair length. And the trouser suit is really quite wonderful. I love it. It looks great on her.
Are they going to stick to it? We'll have to see. We will.
At International Rescue, we are trained to deal with every medical emergency, and you're never too young to learn.
On Christmas Day, you're all very excited. You haven't got time to sit down and read a book of rules. The beauty of Operation is it is simple.
There's something so unsound about operation, because basically you're operating on someone without anaesthetic. It's terrifying.
Operation was probably responsible for transforming quite a lot of well-adjusted, ordinary children into nervous wrecks. Buzzed again! It's the most nerve-wracking game you can have. That's the way I like it.
That's the way I like it. I used to quite like playing it with my mum and dad on a Christmas afternoon after they'd had a couple of drinks, because by golly, they didn't have steady hands.
If you had a steady hand and a warm heart, oh my God, could you be the victor amongst others who are a little bit more nervous?
Hang on a sec, just back a bit, my thing's caught. I beg your pardon, Miss Stethoscope. Ow!
Hurts a bit, does it?
Just a whimsy.
There's 2 kinds of approach with Operation. It's that I don't give a damn, where you just go in there and you get what I go, you see?
No, this isn't going to hurt.
Or the real steady hand where...
I think it might have brought on some sort of stress thing in young people, like Tourette's. When you put in the thing, and you get a little squeal.
Mother, you son of a like your mother, what's going on up there? That's like he's playing Operation again. He's just playing Operation, don't worry. Son, it's all right, just calm down.
Why do you come here?
In the advert, the mother comes down the stairs and literally thinks that her children are operating on another human being.
It's my turn to operate. Operate?
The fact that she really did believe for a moment that her children were performing such a ghastly activity, I think is a very bad sign on her part.
Starring in the advertisement was Samantha Gates, a child supermodel.
I do remember this whole day of lots of laughing and joking and saying, and lots of kind of, right, everybody, laugh now. I also seem to remember that I think for a lot of the scenes they had to take the batteries out, because it was actually really difficult to get the bits out of the body without setting it off, because the game was actually quite difficult.
You've missed enough, Butterfingers!
It's Operation, the Mad Doctor's Game.
If she was like, what, 5 or 6 when she was first in the ad? And certainly when she's 15, around after 10 years, she's going to get a bit wearing.
Take out his spare ribs for £100. Oh, you'll never do that. Don't touch your sides.
I'd literally walk to school and have to run the gauntlet of people yelling, take out his funny bone.
Here goes his funny bone.
You need a very steady hand.
I did it. That's £200 for me. Can I have a go?
It was an ad that haunted me for years and years because they ran it every Christmas. It was really quite embarrassing.
Hi.
Very American operation. Had like a Charlie horse. What the hell is a Charlie horse?
He's got a butterfly in his stomach.
That's a horse called Charlie.
And you had writer's cramp, that was a pen. And didn't you have like a spanner?
I think also as a child you think, oh, have I really got something that looks like that in me?
Bread basket. What the hell is bread basket?
There's no spleen in the operation game, which I'm furious about, but they do. They say, oh, we've had a terrible accident, we've managed to remove his spleen. And everyone goes, but what's that for?
You never got a buzz on the broken heart.
Taking out his Adam's apple, really not advisable. What sort of medical practice is this teaching our young children?
The chap might even live, providing you took the right one out, of course.
God knows how it influenced a generation of doctors. And people complain about people having no bedside manner. Possibly this is why.
And I also felt it gave children a very simplistic view of medical science. It really isn't that easy to cure a broken heart.
That's just the way it goes.
Gosh, Lady Penelope has really pulled out all the stops. That's right, Brains. But we haven't got a moment to lose. Time is against us. The penalty for delay could be disaster.
That's right. Time is everything when you're in the rescue business.
Gee, boys, calm down. This is Christmas. Don't you ever take a day off?
G.I. Joe, fighting man from head to toe, on the land, on the sea, in the air.
G.I. Joe attack!
G.I. Joe was tough.
G.I. Joe takes the hill! Bam, bam! Horrific battle!
I remember that being the only doll I ever had heard of. G.I. Joe, I think, started the whole doll thing. He was, in this country, renamed Action Man because it was thought that children wouldn't really understand what G.I. Joe meant. To this day, I'm not sure what the G.I. is. It's like Guy Joe.
Action Man is here.
It was that fascination with all things army. I mean, you'd take Action Man and you'd build a little trench and you'd have a little gun.
Action Man was cool, and I remember you could get all the toys, like you could get all the guns, and you know, you can change his clothes and stuff.
He had little cups and stuff as well. It was brilliant. You'd just hang out with Action Man for the day. I mean, he'd keep you amused.
It was like, yes, I've got a doll. And it was called a doll. This is a mid-60s Action Man. The hair and everything was great. And he looks like he's a proper sort of no messing soldier. Enemy in sight, please Wong Song. After you chucked it in the bath half a dozen times, all the sort of, the mechanism got mangled up inside. So when it used to sort of say, Action Man, patrol, mine used to sound more like Norman Collier. It used to sort of go, Action Man. It was completely knackered after about a month.
Action Man scores with a missile launcher and super new rope launcher.
In the 70s, the quality of the material starting to get a bit cheaper. Size 11 boots, size 6 feet.
I remember his fuzzy hair as well, just like quite impassive expression no matter what he was doing, and the fuzzy hair.
The flocking hair.
These are the fibres, and there are 250,000 of them bonded onto every square inch.
I remember watching Tomorrow's World. There was an item about this, the flocking business. And there was a car, a Mini, completely covered, flocked, and then there was a lady's leg. And it was just like, what's going on?
Well, there have to be some perks in this job.
And then the next minute, you've got it on the head, and then as you get early teens, you're in an Indian restaurant, and it's all over the walls.
The little lever at the back, you look very carefully, his eyes can move suspiciously from one side to the other.
Oh, look at her. Oh, look. Oh, no. How they managed to get away with that as a selling point, I'm not quite sure.
You get him, and it was a wonderful, exciting moment where you get it 2 hours later, your parents would come in and find you in the bedroom with Action Man with his pants down, you'd have a magnifying glass trying to burn his arse. It was sort of like Action Man naked with Barbie, sort of primitive sexual positions, or, you know, we're burying Action Man and firing marbles at his head, you know, feed Action Man to the dog, you know. It was just, can we destroy Action Man?
What was unique about Action Man was that there was no reference to a film or a TV show or anything like that. What's the reference? How can I know this Action Man? How can I know this character? And you don't know him from anywhere. He's just like, he's unique and it's personable to you.
It's hard to believe all of Evel Knievel. It's hard to believe cause it's true.
That all changed with the arrival of Mr. Evel Knievel, an all-American daredevil.
I just remember being excited by the whole, you know, because it was all the stars and stripes and everything seemed to go really fast.
It was just like, he's got a motorbike, it's loud, he's dangerous. There wasn't anyone around like that.
And also his name in the end. I mean, anyone, you know, as a kid, anyone who calls themselves Evel Knievel.
It was just so powerful. It was like, wow, this is a hero.
I always appreciated Elvis and Liberace especially. I thought they were great showmen. And I always wanted to be the same type of a showman on a motorcycle.
Apparently he was an outrageous man in his day for drinking and womanizing.
The wife and children have their own life to live. I was not put here on the face of this earth to satisfy a woman or her wants.
He used to carry a cane that used to have diamonds encrusted in it. What a lot of people don't know is he also had the cane bored out.
He filled up with his special kind of recipe of beer and whiskey, which helped him through the most difficult of jumps.
Revving up for action, here's our star. What a jump!
When Mr. Knievel got his own toy, every small boy could be a stuntman.
There was something for children to aspire to. Evel Knievel, not only in the live form, but in the doll form. And you never got into trouble when you actually smacked it against the side of the bench, because that's what he did for a job.
That toy outsold every toy made on the face of the earth in the 1970s. G.I. Joe, the Barbie doll, I don't care what it was. I have a letter from the chairman of the board of Sears Roebuck that says, "Congratulations, you saved the toy industry."
The Evel Knievel toys had been on sale in the US for a number of years, but the UK had never really had the impetus that it needed to really sell a large amount of toys. Wembley was seen as the pivotal moment for anything that involved Evel Knievel in Europe.
I feel very guilty. I had to go out to a family picnic in the New Forest that day and couldn't stay and watch the TV and see the jump. So I remember saying to my cousin, I hope he crashes because then it'll be on the news.
This is probably the most dangerous jump ever attempted.
And when he reached a certain speed, he would fly off.
So this is the big moment, surely, then, for Evel Knievel.
Here we go, any minute now.
I did many times look in the grandstand and see the people and say to myself, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I risking my life?
And here he goes, and I certainly...
Here we go, any minute, he'll go. Oh, he'll go. Here we go.
Full speed, and he's rising up the ramp now.
Hey!
And he's made it. No, he's crashed on the run-in. He's crashed on. I said that was the point where he would have the trouble.
It gave a whole new move on the stunt cycle, which was the bike falling over and sort of crashing on you.
He's a good knockout. He's ideal.
You know, I'm sure the kids lined up the buses and did exactly the same thing as Evel did. It just wasn't as painful for them as it was for Evel.
Hours of fun just throwing him over some makeshift buses and watching his body break.
I've got to tell you that you are the last people in the world who will ever see me jump, because I will never, ever, ever jump again. I'm through.
A man barely alive. We can rebuild him.
We have the technology. We can make him better than he was. Better, stronger, faster.
We operated on Colonel Steve Austin. His legs were replaced with bionic legs that gave him a chance to run 60 miles an hour.
It was really funny because when they wanted to imply that he was running really, really fast, they would slow down the camera, you know, so they would make him look like he was running really, really slowly.
The running, it was full speed. I remember lots of times we had our camera focus fellow trying to get me and keep me in focus as I was maybe 100 yards away running towards camera, and every 10 yards they'd have a boulder which would, the focus guy could then keep me in focus. No, he would say, okay, I missed it, we got to do it again. And after about 9 or 10 of those, I said, look, if you don't get it this time, we're never going to get it. So there was a lot of pressure on him, or I was going to maybe kick his butt, because I was getting really tired.
I always remember when he used to go, sort of jump, didn't he? He used to go, bang, 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 bang. Oh, I was quite impressed with him as happens.
I think the jumping was a tremendous impact on my knees. In fact, I'm facing knee replacement surgery in one of my legs, and people are kidding me. Am I going back in for, for bionic stuff?
This man has 2 bionic legs, 1 bionic arm, and a bionic eye, all atomic power.
You go all over the world, and people always do a funny sound like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. When I go to work on other projects, there's someone evidently in the crew who will bring this doll in for me to sign.
Colonel Steve Austin is the $6 million man.
I remember I was working one day, and they brought this prototype in or something for me to look at, and I thought it was rather silly.
It was brilliant with the bionic arm and the panelling and the actual
hole in the back of its head where you could
look through the bionic eye. Actually made things look further away.
If you're going to model it on the reality, it's got to be real. And he didn't have a big eye.
Did Lee Majors not have a big eye?
No.
I was probably in my 30s when this came out, so when you're 6, maybe you see something else, I don't know.
I'd see you, but much sort of smaller and slightly squashed and distorted. And if that's what,
So bionic's rubbish.
Yeah.
He had the arm where you press the back of his arm and go.
And in the packet, there was a car engine. So he could actually have the power to lift a car engine. But the best thing was the foreskin that was on his arm that you could roll back and reveal the wonder of the £6 million worth of technology.
How much did you cost? 6 million.
They've taken all my parts back. I'm a little slower, a little older, and not quite as fast.
Well, Brains, did you manage to get all your Christmas shopping done? Eventually. I started in Mayfair. Then I went to Bond Street and Regent Street. I caught a train at Marylebone and ended up back where I started.
Well, Brains, at least you'd have got 200 pounds if you'd passed go.
What?
Hello, I'm Phil Spencer.
And I'm Kirstie Allsopp, and our task is to find a comfortable pad for a certain celebrity lady.
In fact, we're looking for a suitable place for Lady Penelope.
As a special Christmas present from the Tracy Empire, this place has to be quite a looker.
So we thought, what better place to choose an outstanding location than from the most famous board game in the world, Monopoly.
Everybody's household had a Monopoly board. If you went to somebody's house without a Monopoly board, you didn't even need to see it, you just know something's wrong.
The essence of Monopoly is to get rich quick. The only problem is that a game takes about 12 hours, and I like to get rich quicker than that.
Hey, wouldn't it be amazing if all this money was real? That is the single most predictable and boring thing that anybody could ever say whilst playing Monopoly.
London calling to the faraway towns. Now war is declared and battle come down. London calling.
We're here on the Old Kent Road. It's the only street in the game that's south of the river. While it might be the first place on the Monopoly board that everyone wants to buy, I don't think Lady P would be very impressed.
If you say that Go is your port of arrival, it is going to be a shame to any visitor that the first place they see is the Old Kent Road. It's a shit heap.
Somehow, I think a pink roller might stand out a bit down here. Come on, Kirstie, I've got an idea.
Where are we off to?
Vine Street.
So you win again, here I stand again, the loser.
It's a really horrible capitalist game. Now I stop and think about it. Sort of, God, do you really want to teach children that?
That was a shrewd game. That's when your friends became your enemies. That's where your mum wasn't your mum no more. Right, do you know what I mean? Mum, I'm sorry, man, you're going to have to go to prison. No, you rolled 6, take your ass to prison.
It's one of those games you can play for ages and realise suddenly that you've missed a rule that you didn't realise.
You win again.
If a whole set is owned, but it is an unimproved site, then the rent is shown at double the face value of the investment. What? We're 5. Buy it.
I was either the banker, because I like to sit right by the money, or I'd always try and buy Fleet Street or one of the major streets and save up my money and buy one big hotel.
Vine Street.
Yes. One hotel on Vine Street?
Thanks.
Phil, you can't be serious. There are not even any houses on Vine Street.
I'm deadly serious.
We've gone from the longest street to the shortest street. You could walk down it in 2 seconds, but how's Parker going to do a 3-point turn?
Bear with me, Kirstie, bear with me, because if we nip down this alleyway here...
You have 1 second prize in a beauty contest.
If you watch a normal family game of Monopoly, a large amount of time is spent
doing down your friends and neighbours.
Smash Rick over the head with the bank.
People get really grumpy.
He did not say that, Michael! Did he? He was cheating!
I have never, ever, ever seen rows like the rows that are caused by Monopoly.
Well, let me remind you of something, Linda. This is my game! My game, dear! It's a recipe for psychological breakdown within the family.
Look! We're on Regent Street, designed to keep the refined residents of Mayfair, Lady P, away from the riffraff of Soho, which I guess is you and I.
Thanks for that, Phil. I want to take me to Funky Town.
I was an only child, so I would play with all 6 parts, but on my own, and I was absolutely schizophrenic.
Charles Darrow chose his characters from the figures hanging from his wife's lucky charm bracelet.
The top hat, the car, the ship represent riches. The flat iron, the dog, and the boot represent poverty.
Yeah, dog. I was always dog. I think everyone was always dog.
I always wanted to be the car. But guys, you know, guys and their toys, guys always want to have the car.
I went with it. And if you actually try and drive the car like that, if you push down too hard in it, you leave 2 tiny little tracks along the board.
See, when the designers designed this game, do you think they meant for you to jam that through the soft cardboard like that? Don't answer, because the answer's no.
I mean, who really says, you know what, everybody, I'm going to be the boot, okay?
If I have the choice, I like to have the boot.
No, I'm the boot, damn it. I mean, who argued?
The old boot, that was my one.
No, I want to be the boot.
Give me the old boot anytime.
Well, then be the boot, then.
We have to consider what type of person Lady Penelope is. She's a very demure lady with particular style.
Whitehall, Pall Mall and Northumberland Avenue are all the pink locations on the board, but I'm afraid none of them are right. We've got to think quick.
Yes, my lady?
I've got an idea. Can we go to Funky Town?
Won't you take me to
Funky Town?
Won't you take me
I thought you were broke. Where did you get all that money from?
I borrowed it from the bank.
Well, you can't do that. That's cheating.
Listen, you little stoat, I own Park Lane. I can borrow as much bloody money as I like.
It's very middle class. You'd think, wouldn't you, that by now they'd slightly update community chest and chance, wouldn't they? Say, you know, you've been done for marijuana possession, you know, pay £50 fine.
Monopoly is also one of those games you can play for ages.
It was just torture, actually.
It can go on for months.
I think basically the game ends when a member of the family dies, appears to be the rule.
I think this is it, Park Lane. Lady Penelope needs to be at the centre of things, but away from the hoi polloi. And this address has a certain cachet.
That's right, views over Hyde Park are one of the most exclusive addresses in London.
So, Park Lane it is then.
That's it. I think we should go and make them an offer, Kirstie. And I've got the money.
Go on, it'll be great.
Oh, Parker.
Beg pardon, milady. Must have been something I've eaten.
It's like another world when you go into a joke shop. There's nothing in there that should logically appeal to anybody with an ounce of sense.
I love the joke shop. The owner of the joke shop is always a duddery old man who sort of shuffles around and is like, you know, doesn't really want you to be there.
Have you seen these? Oh, great. These are specials. Cost me a packet.
What's the matter?
There's a smell, miss.
Yes, what is it?
It smells like somebody's old.
I've always thought that it's almost the ultimate way of living as an adult. You know, a man who spends his time working out what is the best way to create a dog turd. You know, how can we make this look more like a real dog turd, you know? It must just be a fantastic existence.
There's no let-up in the general demand for the 3 lines of toy turd: Mucky Pup, Mucky Puss, and the one that's almost human, Toilet Terror.
Would you say that this was one of your best-selling lines?
If you ever buy a whoopee cushion to this day, it's still got the same picture on it of the absolute legend. When anyone sits down, emits a real Bronx cheer.
Never got a result with the whoopee cushion. We put it behind the cushion. When Mum comes in, it's like, no, don't sit there, sit over there. Really sort of forcefully sit in the corner. No, get up and then just throw yourself down.
I think people wanted to laugh.
Never quite worked out what the chattering teeth were supposed to be for.
It made people feel good.
Do you think you could hold those teeth? That's right. That. Oh!
I remember looking at a magazine ad that showed false teeth. Now, at that time, I was in my early 20s, so I thought that was very funny. So I motorized them. I successfully made the teeth by carving the gum and making a mold of that, and then casting a teeth block in it, and then carving the teeth. In fact, the teeth that are still being sold today are the exact teeth that I carved all those years ago.
One of the great, completely pointless inventions of all time, isn't it?
It's Slinky, for fun it's a wonderful toy. It's Slinky, it's fun for a girl and a boy.
Perhaps some of the more innovative posh kids may have had Slinkies. I did not. I had a magic spring, which is just as good.
Watch this. Observe the real Slinky in action. Here we have the Springy. There is the Springy, made in China. And now witness the glory of the Slinky. Look at that sling.
Everybody all around the world, gotta tell you what I just heard. There's gonna be a party all over the world.
My husband was an engineer and went out on a trial trip of a naval ship from the shipyard where he was working. And as he was out there, a torsion spring fell off a table, and he noticed that it wiggled back and forth. So he came home and he said, you know, I think if I get the right tension in the wire and the right properties in it, I can make it walk and have a real neat toy. I thought, he is really mad.
It's so slinky you can't get hold of it. Look, come here, come here. There, here we go.
Gimbel's store in Philadelphia gave us the end of a counter and said we could come down and demonstrate them. I was quite concerned because I thought he was going to be disappointed. So I called a friend of mine and asked her if I gave her $1, would she go with me? And we each would buy one. They wouldn't know us. So we went to Gimbel's. Over in the corner were all these people waving dollar bills, and my husband was in the middle of it. And I was so thrilled, and that was our really first start with Slinky.
Slinky was only good for one thing, which was going down the stairs.
You had to have a particular size staircase for it to work.
And it was quite difficult to get it to actually go.
Oh!
There's a certain way you should start a Slinky.
No.
With a quick twist of your wrist. Turn it over and let it go.
It's a twist and a slink. Yes.
I remember watching with great joy at someone else's house when it actually worked. But it was just endless frustration, Slinky.
When they use Slinky to accomplish other things and use it in a proper way, I'm thrilled. They can do what they want with it as long as it's in good taste.
The idea of putting slinkies together would, I'm sure, fascinate most ravers, but then again, most things would fascinate most ravers. Slinky!
In 1998, there had been around 250 million sold worldwide, and I'm sure there are more than that now. I think the reason Slinky has stayed popular is because people just told one another, do you have a Slinky? And if they didn't, they better get one.
Wow, this little gadget is just great.
Oh dear. Now what shall we do?
Don't worry, Alan. I've got a wonderful idea. We can all play charades.
Oh no, not charades.
Good afternoon. Detective Chief Inspector CID. I've come to investigate the mysterious death of Dr. Black. So, the victim was killed by Saturday night fever.
Cluedo was incredibly popular when I was a child. I mean, I'm talking 40 years ago, when murder was an incredibly evil, almost exotic thing to comprehend.
The murder of the unfortunate Dr. Black.
Dr. Black? It was invented by Anthony Pratt. He'd always had the idea of a murder game, and then decided that he didn't quite like the idea of it. He thought the idea of a murder game was wrong somehow, and changed it fundamentally into a detection game. And that is the main thrust of Cluedo. Not the murder, but the detection.
It is Miss Scarlet with a piece of lead piping in the conservatory.
There are 6 people in the frame for this terrible murder. Suspect number 1, the ultimate Scarlet Woman. Demure, sophisticated Miss Vivian Scarlet. It was she who found the body, so the Cluedo conundrum starts with her.
It's all very much about people in beautiful clothes and cliched people, the beautiful woman, the gold digger who did it.
You've got the Agatha Christie, you know, touch of frost, everything. It's all down to sort of murder mystery kind of, it's part of British heritage. The characters are almost become household names in themselves.
A military man is trained to kill. Therefore, he might have access to what could be the murder weapon.
Colonel Mustard started his life as Mr. Yellow.
Then it was changed to Colonel Mustard, and people talk of Colonel Mustard as if he's a special character, as if he might have been a Conan Doyle character, for instance. Actually, it's a Waddington's character.
Cluedo, and the world Cluedo champion, dressed as ever as Colonel Mustard, is with us in the studio.
I think the Edwardian Agatha Christie style whodunits are for kind of pseudo-intellectuals, basically. You wouldn't get one of those whodunit lovers wanting to work out a whodunit based on drug smuggling in Jamaica.
I first started with the 1976 Monopoly Championships, which is when they began. I'm the only person who still takes part from the original championships. Then along came the Cluedo Championships, and in 1993 became the UK champion and became the world champion.
They say stay away, don't want you home today.
You know, the fact that you are world champion, I don't want to devalue your achievement, but might have something to do with the fact that not many people play.
He fits the bill perfectly. Great character.
It does help, definitely.
I'll never forget when he turned up at the airport in his Colonel Mustard outfit.
Well, I'd look silly in a red dress.
He actually believed he was Colonel Mustard. In America, for them to see sort of a colonel, you know, walking around the streets of New York, he definitely helped us to publicise the game.
You're an embarrassment.
Never eliminate a suspect when they have a secret they want to keep hidden.
The success of the board game led to a hit TV series.
But what dark secret did she bring to Arlington Grange?
Back in the 80s, Cluedo was just a massive TV programme. It was incredibly popular.
What on earth?
It gave you an opportunity to not only have fun, but to work with people you'd never otherwise work with.
Oh, wonderful. It's a mystery. Oh, it's a mystery. I'm still searching for a clue.
I was just playing someone who hated the Kate O'Mara character. I mean, very cliche role, and you know the way we were directed, everything, you know, we pinpointed everything because clues had to kind of come with a big black outline around them, so it wasn't about subtlety at all.
You lying, betraying. I'll see you in hell.
Have you seen Mrs. Peacock?
Drawing room.
I think there was an enormous amount of tongue-in-cheek, and it, you know, it pandered to the board game, and this is fun. This is not Crime Watch, this is fun.
This is the hardest case in my career. And Tudor Close was awash with red herrings. Amateur sleuths all fancy their chances, but you have to rely on a professional. And Miss Scarlett, when I was waiting to question you, I found something that indicated your guilt. And that thing is this. You nearly had me fooled. Mrs. White. Miss Scarlett in the library with a dagger.
Very close, Inspector, but actually it was Miss Scarlett in the lounge with a water pistol.
Oh! Miss Scarlett.
You know, Brains, you were such a clever little boy. Up in your bedroom, playing with your Bunsen burner.
Using a Bunsen burner, we heated this beaker of bear's urine to 37 degrees centigrade. It tastes revolting.
Keep on learning.
I think I had the number 3 chemistry set, and I loved it because I was a proper nerd.
So darn ready, let me try it again.
As a child, I'd want to buy it because it looks really exciting.
You'd sit in your bedroom on like Christmas night, just playing, going, now, poisons.
I've made me potion. Oh, you clever old Edna.
Caution, attention. And I just thought, wow, God, things are going to blow up.
I haven't a clue what they're making.
Because that's what you saw in films, isn't it? Like, don't mix that with that. Why? That's why. And nothing blew up.
A teenage dream's so hard to beat. Every time she walks down the street.
The experiments that you really liked were the ones where there was a proper reaction. I think my 2 favourite ones had to be calcium carbonate and tartaric acid. And if you mix them together dry, nothing happens, right? Nothing happens. You mix them together dry, it's just some white powder. Vodka powder. You pour water in, it fizzes and goes woof everywhere. It's like, oh, mental.
Teenage kicks right through the night.
A lot of litmus paper action at our house more than anything.
When something had changed colour and you go, ooh.
Remember, they used to give you metal filings with magnets, and you could sort of make like sort of magnetic fields out of them.
What you were really supposed to do was you're supposed to get a sheet of paper, put a magnet underneath it, and sprinkle iron filings, and then you could actually see the magnetic lines of force. But why do that when you can just dip the magnet in the iron filings and go, look, look.
She looks so good. I wanna hold her,
Although there was always the promise of far more excitement than ever actually materialised.
That all changed with the arrival of a mad scientist with his own television show.
You know how the typical science teacher you see is really boring? Well, Johnny Ball wasn't like that. He was really fun.
Hello, hello, and welcome once again to Think of a Number. I'm Johnny Ball. When I was doing the television programmes, it was a time when the first computer games were coming through. And as a result, some toys suffered in sales. Chemistry sets, for instance. So there were 2 makers, Salters and Merritts, and Salters approached me and said, can you help? When a child opens a chemistry set, it's a solitary toy. They're on their own, lots of chemicals, they don't know what to do. So I suggested we did an audio tape that the kids could play while they explored the set.
Because that would have been great. Johnny Ball leading you by the hand on the voyage of discovery through the world of chemistry would have been marvellous.
When I get to a point where you want time to examine your equipment or get it all together, just switch me off.
Johnny Ball was the only person who was ever able to explain to me in quick, simple, easy terms how science worked.
That's what this programme is all about. Things that go bang!
I think it was his irrepressible enthusiasm for the subject.
Bang! Bang! Today, so many kids say, Johnny Ball, I remember your chemistry set, and I've still got the tape.
It makes you sit up and think, oh, hang on, maybe science is something that's good and cool, and that was what he managed to do.
They used to do the helium thing, didn't they? You know, and used to get balloons.
Which is actually a very inadvisable thing to do on a children's programme, because it's not actually very good for you.
Didn't it not make you high? I don't do drugs. I don't do balloons. I don't do drugs.
You breathe in the heat and it makes a noise. Now, what I've done is breathe some of this stuff in here, and it makes me talk much quicker because I'm very high pitched, so I can get a lot more into the programme by talking very fast.
And I remember it because I always did this breathing in helium. It was a great treat until somebody popped a balloon like that, and it went bang like that. I've been scared of balloons ever since.
I'm going back to normal now. It's going back to normal, and I'm normal.
Kids getting like, oh, get them away like that. It's all Johnny Ball's fault. It's all your fault, Ball.
Today, I meet lots of people who say, that's why I'm a chemist. And because of the programmes, many kids have become chemists, biologists, physicists, mathematicians. We seem to have influenced so many kids.
Johnny Ball, you should really jazz up these chemistry sets. A bit of concentrated sulfuric acid. Now, that'd be quite the thing. Chuck this into a basin of water, see what happens.
Oh, Parker, I do hope the boys like their presents. If not, maybe they'll grow on them.
Indeed, milady.
Right then, this is where we are, the school, and today we're going to tidy up the vegetable patch. Now you get on with that, because there's something I need. The last one. That's all hard work done. I'm exhausted now. Now, I think this is an ideal place to grow cabbages.
Cabbages?
Ah, but these are magical cabbages.
Tell me, when will you be mine? Tell me, quando, quando, quando.
I so wanted one, and now I can't figure out for the life of me why.
Kids will cry. Can I have a cabbage patch? No.
They're hideous.
I've got cabbage at home. We've got cabbages at home.
When will you say yes to me? Tell me, quando, quando, quando.
Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there lived an art student called Xavier Roberts. Unlike most students, he didn't sit around his smelly flat. He invented one of the most popular toys ever.
There's just something very warm about them, just real neat to have. They're so human-like.
It has to be the face. They just have the sweetest little faces.
It was started back in 1978. I was taking different art classes at the time, and I came across the technique of soft sculpture. So I actually tried to use a needle and to capture my faces of my nieces and nephews.
By golly, they were ugly, weren't they?
Irene Handel, you don't really think much to this little doll.
No, I don't. I'd have been most unhappy if I'd got a hideous little thing like that.
But I wonder what the
for a
appeal
present.
is.
There's no appeal.
But they're
it's the
falling
cult
over each
of
other.
the ugly.
I can do a Cabbage Patch doll face.
They all had those scrunched up faces. I never quite understood that.
They were really kind of like the run of the litter. Because a newborn baby, maybe the parents will say that it's beautiful, but, you know, newborn baby is really kind of so ugly it's cute.
They're not dolls. They're babies. Each has its own personality. They're all individuals, the same as we are.
Everyone was supposed to be unique. But did anyone check?
Now, some people began to think that maybe Xavier was taking it all too seriously. Before each individual was sold, they were born and cared for in Babyland General.
Dr. Davis.
Oh, welcome to Babyland General.
Paging Dr. Davis to delivery, Mother Cabbage in labor.
Let me get this right. A cabbage could give birth in an actual hospital.
That's the unhealthy thing. They talk about parents and being born in hospital in Georgia. It really is desperate.
No. Are you I can't.
So,
How horrible. I never knew.
so it had. So I can't even speak at the thought of what that must be like.
No need to be nervous. The cabbage is dilated 10 leaves apart. That's normal. If you're squeamish, you can go now back to the father's waiting room and pace.
It's really like a real hospital maternity ward. We all dress up as doctors and nurses, and we have deliveries there from the Cabbage Patch.
And they used to breastfeed it and everything. It was utterly horrible, sick.
Push, push again.
Is there some sort of umbilical type scenario that is down to the cabbage itself? That is outrageous in the extreme.
It was all a bit sinister, actually.
A baby girl.
You hate the idea of there being a factory with this thing that's really precious to you just being stamped out by a big machine. So the idea that they had this lovely beginning made them very appealing. Extraordinarily appealing considering them so hideous.
I'm sure it didn't hurt a bit.
Only in America.
Now, these kids were so special that you couldn't just own one. you had to adopt one.
I solemnly promise
to be an understanding parent,
to be an understanding parent,
to the best of my ability.
It's a shame the way you mess around with your man.
Today, the father of 2.5 million Cabbage Patch Kids flew into Britain to open what he calls adoption centres here. In other words, he's here to promote this.
Now, let me get this right. You could adopt a Cabbage Patch doll.
It comes with adoption papers and it gets a birthday card on its first birthday. It's just like having your very own child.
Nonsense!
They kind of fill the void that has been left by your own children.
Young couples who don't have children will come in and adopt and call their mothers and say, we just adopted a baby.
It's really as if there aren't enough issues in our society without people going to cabbage patches trying to find babies. Seriously, it's just, that doesn't sit well with me at all.
Soon word of these strange-looking babies spread across the land and everybody wanted one. But for some reason, it was getting harder and harder to find one.
The latest awful example of pre-Christmas selling hype to hit America. Cabbage Patch dolls.
And I was flipping the television channel on and looking at all the different TV shows, and all of a sudden I saw all these people rushing toward all these boxes, and then all of a sudden there were Cabbage Patch Kids.
In Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, it was a near riot. One woman broke her leg. 4 others were hurt. One store official armed himself with a baseball bat.
I never understood that like a vegetable could be so big.
What do we tell our little girl Christmas morning? What are we supposed to say? You've been good, but Santa ran short?
Kids who got the Cabbage Patch doll and had it grabbed out of their hands by grown-ups. That was like the classic heart-wrenching scene.
A full-grown woman taking a doll out of a child's hand?
Xavier was now a very rich man indeed. And all because he invented an ugly-looking doll that made people more loving and caring. That's the end. Shall we go and look at our cabbages? Wow, look at these. Aren't they doing well? They'll be ready soon, you know. This one looks ready for picking. Ah, yes, look at that. I think we should make some coleslaw.
Vroom, vroom. I say, milady, I remember playing with these when I was a nipper. Who'd have thought I'd end up chauffeuring for International Rescue?
Oh, indeed, Parker. And a pink Rolls Royce at that.
Indeed, milady. There's no accounting for taste.
Dom. Jay. This is a tough one, this one. This assignment. What are you on about, man? Lady Penelope is looking for a special Christmas present for Parker.
Tough assignment.
We're up for it, aren't we?
Yeah, of course.
Right, we need to find her a new car.
Let's do it.
There it is.
The pink Rolls Royce.
Fab one itself. Oh, good lord above.
Let's have your Parker impersonation. Certainly, my lady.
My lady. I don't know what the handling would be like in that car with the 4 wheels at the front like that. Big steering wheel in the middle. This might be quite a tricky car to find a replacement for, you know.
Lady Penelope's car, that was choice vehicle. Very good. I'd quite like one like that now.
Go ahead, Parker.
Yes, my lady.
She had a cigarette holder in the back, didn't she? Yeah, that was good, yeah. Very camp, wasn't it?
You manually had to pull down the front radiator, but then when you pressed the front axle, the great big rocket fired out of the front of the radiator. And then towards the rear, you got 4 thin red rockets. Pressed the back axle down once, and I think 2 fired. Pressed the other side, and the other 2 fired. So that was a great car by Dinky.
Home, my lady.
Home, Parker.
No, we need a new car. Don't worry, mate. We'll sort you out.
You take me higher.
I reckon she'll be a lot happier in that.
Chitty chitty.
Look
bang.
how happy they are. They're all absolutely delighted.
Why are they all like that? They've got rigor mortis to sit into their head.
It's flying.
All by itself.
Careful you don't crash. Doesn't have airbags as standard, you know. Well, you know what it is. When you get up to 36,000 feet, it's very, very cold. So you're right, they're frozen solid.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car was a very friendly car that actually reads your wishes and flies. Obviously the perfect vehicle.
It floats, it flies, and it carries adventure wherever it goes.
Oh, you pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, we love you.
I was with Bertram Circus, and my agent rang me and he said there's a film coming up about a motor car, and they want someone to get involved. So I then got involved in looking after Chitty. And I bought the motor car because this is the actual one, because it bears the number plate, Gen 11, and in Latin, that's Geni for magic. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is worldwide and is loved by everybody.
I think that was a bit girly for me. That was one of the toys that, in my, can I have that, can I have that? I was like, Dad, you don't need to worry about that one. I'm okay. And he was like, good, because he was not getting it anyway.
That's not good for Lady Penelope, is it?
No, chitty chitty bang bang. Chitty chitty bye bye.
Yep.
Bit of class, bit of glamour. The Aston Martin DB5. This apparently is the most successful toy car in the world ever.
I'm not surprised. Did you have one?
Oh yes.
I had one. We all had one.
We all had one. I've still got one. 14 million sold.
Like a sex machine.
Where's my Bentley?
Oh, it's had its day, I'm afraid.
But it's never let me down.
M's orders, 007. You'll be using this Aston Martin DB5.
I always thought the James Bond car looked like an old man's car.
See this arm here? Inside your defense mechanism controls. Rear bulletproof screen and left and right front wing machine guns.
The bulletproof shield just kept popping up, which was really awkward. You know, you'd literally just be trying to play with it and just go doof. And it's like, there's nobody behind you shooting at you.
You see the gear lever here? Now, if you take the top off, you'll find a little red button. Whatever you do, don't touch it.
No, why not?
Because you'll release this section of the roof and engage and fire the passenger ejector seat.
Ejector seat, you're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
Well, I think the link between Aston Martin and James Bond obviously has been important, specifically when you look at the sales curve around the DB5. That's really when Aston Martin took off. Because he's such a universal, accepted hero, and he's viewed in so many countries. And a lot of people might never, or only once in their life, see an Aston Martin in some part of the world.
What a shame.
What a crime.
How much would that be worth now?
Oh, don't even think about it.
That's a close call.
Yeah, one major problem straight off, Doc.
Ooh, I know where you're going.
What's the special feature of this car?
Don't like it out.
Yeah, it's a no-no for the Aston.
Yeah, no
It's
good.
a shame. Tell you
No
what,
good.
I'll have one though. Ah, yeah, no, I can see him in that.
Starsky and Hutch car.
That's fantastic. A Ford Gran Torino. Look at it.
Yeah, great paint job.
Let me tell you about my love.
The big debate when you were 7 was whether or not you loved Starsky or whether you loved Hutch. I loved Hutch, and in deference to him, I bought his car.
Here's my white stripe down the side Starsky and Hutch car with the two characters.
And I threw the Starsky one away. Didn't want it. No interest. Hated him.
I'm Hutch. He's Starsky.
The real star for me, and it started from the first time I saw the show, and it was the car. My mum had a Capri at the time as well, and it was red. So it was similar to the car my mum had, but sort of so much more cool.
You think he's following us? Well, let's find out.
When I was younger, I always wanted the car. I think my parents would both say, I always point at the show and say, I really want one of those cars one day. But people will always warn you not to get it. And I think it was at that point I decided, no matter what anyone said, and I had lots of people telling me I was mad, I was going to go to America and buy one of the cars. Everyone looks, stares, points, shouts Starsky, and I've got a light in it as well, like a police light and a siren and stuff, so for people who want to see a little bit more kind of real TV show action, and I can do that for them as well.
Do as long as I'm living, I'm thinking of you.
Although it's very big, it doesn't actually move that quickly, but it sounds the part. So I think most people who have got an XR3i will just look at it and smile and not try to do anything too silly at traffic lights.
Well, big lad, it's decision time. Where are you putting your money?
Very different cars, isn't it?
Well, they certainly are, and they've all got things going for them. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, fantastic for traffic jams because you just fly over the top of them.
And can you see Lady Penelope as an ex-Bond girl?
Which leaves us with Starsky and Hutch's Ford Gran Torino.
Yep.
Big white stripe down the side.
Yep, that's where my money is.
But it's not up to us, it's up to Lady P. She's the honey with the money. Lady Penelope, my lady, it's over to you.
Thanks for that, boys. I'm not sure about the white stripe, though. It might be better in pink.
Indeed, milady.
We'll always be together, however far it's
The most popular and universal toy in the history of the world has been and is the teddy bear.
You are correct. You've done it all.
Pride of place goes to Paddington Bear.
Every cold. Appalled the rebel to the floor.
Oh, I love Paddington Bear. I was obsessed with him. I loved the books by Michael Bond.
First words I wrote was, Mr. and Mrs. Brown first met Paddington on a railway platform, which is how he came to have such an unusual name for a bear, because Paddington was the name of the station.
The 12 Paddington books made Michael Bond a rich man. Sales were worth more than £20 million.
Good afternoon, he said. Can I help you?
The thing about him is that nobody in the books ever queries it. That nobody ever says, oh gosh, a talking bear.
Never, said Paddington hotly. And he gave the man one of his special hard stares.
There's nothing left, all gone and run away.
The whole notion that the bear had to somehow adjust to life with humans got even stranger by the fact that he already wore a coat, had a hat and carried a briefcase.
I don't suppose there are many bears who've been inside a buffet, Mr. Brown.
He didn't even have an accent. You know, you'd think he's a thought, it's give me a marmalade sandwich, please. Something like that. But he literally spoke as if he'd been to public school.
Where are you from? Darkest Peru, said the bear.
I did a script and took it to the BBC, and they liked it. They said, how do you see it being done? Do you see marionettes? And I said, well, no, I think marionettes are a bit old hat now.
Well, really?
Old hat? I thought it was Paddington who had the old hat.
Oh, is it more, too much more than a pretty face?
And then somebody else said, well, there's somebody in London called Evel Wood who's worked on the Magic Roundabout. How about going to see him?
Well, I know I've been out of style.
There was one big difficulty as far as I was concerned.
Oh.
Is that Paddington Bear is not always in the same environment. He travels a lot, he goes to the Tower of London, his stories are all over the place, which means an enormous amount of set building if it was three-dimensional. So I hit on the idea of using Paddington Bear in three-dimensional, but making everybody else just line drawing the was cut out card. But it worked very well.
There's a young bear here smelling a bacon. Says he's made a mistake at the bottom. I'm not used to escalators. We don't have any in darkest Peru.
Well, I know I've been out of style for a short while. But you see, I don't care how cold you are. I'm coming home soon.
I'm sorry, said Paddington.
Make you a star.
Well, this is the finishing and jointing department, where a small but dedicated team of stuffers, armed only with plonkers, fill the bear with this fluffy, soft material.
Paddington was a television star, but you couldn't buy him in the shops. So whose famous mother made the first bear?
I can't begin to imagine. Can I have a clue?
This is one of those classic pub trivia questions that normally I'd know the answer to.
Is it Jeremy Clarkson? Oh no!
Smashing.
You're joking. Jeremy Clarkson's mother? Jeremy Clarkson's mother?
How sweet.
Every year for Christmas, I used to make the children a toy. Jeremy and Joanna, my two children, they were heavily into reading Paddington books. This is the very first one I made, but of course he doesn't look anything really like the ones that went into production. Everybody that saw them said, oh, you know, these are fantastic, you should market these. I mean, we got a very small business going. My husband was selling virtually in his lunch hour every day. He was sort of stopping the car and calling in little shops and boutiques.
I knew somebody who ran a boutique, and he rang me up one morning and said somebody's been into the shop and he's wanted to sell me a bear which is called Paddington. Do you know about this? And I didn't. So I told my agent, he told his lawyer.
I got a telephone call from a man and he said, do you make Paddington Bears? And stupidly I said, yes, we do. And he said, well, where can I get one? In London. And I said, well, Harrods, Hamleys. And he said, thank you, and put the phone down. And I thought straight away, that's a solicitor. So, undaunted, Eddie got in the car and he shot off down to London. And a grey-haired, I mustn't say old gentleman, a grey-haired gentleman got in the lift with him and said, I think we're going to the same office.
And we struck it off immediately. They were the lovely people, and he wasn't trying to do me down or anything.
And he gave us the licence to make Paddington, and that's how it all started.
Bond gave them exclusive rights. Paddington was on the way from darkest Peru to his first million. They tell me Paddington's a very real animal to some people, is that right?
Yes, he is. He's got his very own, you know, his own two bears alive.
He always had a bash on his nose like that, which gave him that little up, you know, tilted nose. Everything was done by hand. Actually, the lady that put the eyes in, she'd got a bit of a squint, actually. So sometimes the eyes didn't go in straight.
You don't think it's his, do you?
Oh, however could I leave it behind? That little face and those pointed ears mean a lot to me.
Blimey, it is his.
So we start the belt running now.
And on Larry's conveyor belt tonight, there's a barbecue set, a cuddly Paddington Bear, a picnic hamper.
Paddington became quite the bear to be around.
Just look at this magnificent row of Paddingtons. They go on and on forever.
We used to see pictures of all sorts of various people that had been given him. And then to our horror, one Conservative conference, Mrs. Thatcher held one up at the beginning of the conference. And to our horror, it wasn't ours, it was a parrot.
We had to take prompt action there, and I think Eddie Clarkson sent her a real one.
At the Teddy Museum, I've seen, actually, bikers in leathers come up to the Hall of Fame and crouch down by the case that contains the original Paddington Bear and press their noses to the pane and go, "Hello, Paddington." It's a bear. It's a stuffed toy.
What did you get for Alan this year, Brains? Well, I've invented this super new robot. It starts as a racing car, turns into a robot, then back into a car again. Wow, sounds phenomenal. Is it something Thunderbird 2 could use? Interesting idea, Scott.
Transformers is a toy that through a series of changes can alter itself from a vehicle into like full-on robot.
Now you're talking my language, you see? That's a boy's toy right there.
They turn into haulage trucks, man. They turn into sports cars, guns.
Rubbish. Rubbish robot. Rubbish car. They used to have a face like this.
Transformers weren't just a toy. They starred in their own television cartoon at the same time. How novel.
The story of Transformers revolves around a metal world called Cybertron, which, as we join the story, 4 million or so years ago, is in the grip of a major civil war.
Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, the Transformers.
This is Optimus Prime, who's leader of the Autobots, so he's the leader of the good guys.
It's just you and me now, Megatron. Then you better get some help, Prime.
And his opposite number is Megatron, Decepticon leader, who's really just hell-bent on world domination and universal conquest.
We are indestructible! Power to the Decepticons forever!
These characters blast off into space and end up crash-landed on Earth, where they stay for the next 4 million years until they're awoken in our present day.
And then they continue their fight on Earth.
Only the heroic Autobots can save Earth. Sideswipe, Grapple, Ratchet, Jazz, a whole army.
Evil Decepticons! Autobots transform!
I've always thought the 2 toys in one selling point was kind of a weird one.
See, that's where parents were tricked, you see, because parents thought, oh, well, you know, I'll get him a Transformer, it's 2 toys in one.
Look, it's a robot and a car. No, it doesn't wash. Does not wash. Be very disappointed, children.
Little did they know that as soon as you had one Transformer, then you had to have the next.
Pow!
And the next.
Jailbreaker!
And the next.
Wheeljack!
And they just kept churning them out, and if you were going to have a serious collection, you had to keep up, you know?
This battle will be most dangerous.
The cartoon would deliberately throw in as many different characters in an episode as possible to encourage the parents to go and buy them all the toys, you know? So we can't play episode 14, series 3, unless we get Malugatron and his transforming into a kitchen tap, you know, ability. I don't think I actually saw that one.
When Transformers movie came out, it was actually quite early on in Transformers. It was only maybe a year or 2 into its release, but that was just how quickly the toy had taken off. The fact that they felt they could commit to a whole animated feature.
In the film, there was a scene that's classic for all the boys who know their toys. Megatron ran and he jumped into the air and turned into the gun, and his friend caught him and lovely.
If you were Megatron, you'd be like, ha ha, I battle you, for I am a battle robot. Ah, but now I shall turn into a gun. Can somebody phone a giant to come and shoot me?
I'll crush you with my bare hands.
The amazing thing about the movie is the sort of voice cast they got for it. I mean, you had Orson Welles in it in his last movie role. Poor guy.
Welcome, Megatron.
You had Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron.
I will rip open Ultra Magnus and every other Autobot until the Matrix has been destroyed.
You had Eric Idle as Wreck-Gar. You know, just this amazing cast.
But all these big names were eclipsed by the man who played the lead, Optimus Prime.
What's a Transformer? I got to the audition and found out.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.
If they were going to go 1 inch away from my character that I had conceived for a hero, I'd fight them. I'd say, Optimus Prime wouldn't say that.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
The one that kids would most often remember would be Autobots Transform.
Autobots transform! Roll out!
I realized Transformers was a hit when I saw a toy named Optimus Prime. And you know what? I could barely afford it.
Having heard that in America they were very scarce and that there was the usual kind of punch shops and people trying to get them and people paying outrageous sums of money for, particularly there was a special version of Optimus Prime, which I thought I'd found this special version in the shops. I was thinking, this is it, I'm going to make my fortune. Went to all the trouble of putting a classified advert in an American newspaper. Went to great effort, and not a sound. Not a single phone call, nothing. So stuck with 2 Optimus Primes that I didn't want.
When you look at most toy lines, good versus evil is always in there in some form. Sometimes you can make good versus evil very bland, but the characters were so good, they were so well developed, you couldn't help but get involved in it.
I fear the wounds are fatal.
I was reading the script for the first time. Well, Orson Welles is dying. And I get back and I find out, so am I.
Prime, you can't die.
Do not grieve. Well, I'm dying too. There goes another series.
I say, Mr. Ackerbacker, sir, do you fancy a flutter? Well, what would you recommend? Butterscotch and Snuzzle in the My Little Pony Derby are on good form. Well, scientifically speaking, of course, form is simply an assessment of different criteria relating to weather conditions, previous history, and related information. Right you are, sir. It was only supposed to be a bit of fun.
We have an additional race, in fact. It's the My Little Pony Derby.
There's a message for tonight. In the air come from crazy horses riding everywhere.
Well, we're at Leafy Lingfield in Surrey. There are 9 horse races going on, but nobody really bothers about them. Horse racing, very much secondary today. It's the Pony Derby, that big event covered by us.
My Little Nowhere Pony.
They were good.
The going, I can report, is good to firm. Ponies, like soft ground, rule them out.
They didn't move. Some were just stuck in that position.
Probably the gayest toy ever.
And I hated it, and I hated anyone who had one. The company that made them did a survey, and they asked little girls what they see at night when they dream. The average response was, I see horses. And so they put that together with the pretty pastel colours that little girls love, which was just every girl's dream.
It was something very desirable and very fluffy, and ponies, pink colours, hair to brush, and it should have been a, surefire winner, but just somehow less than the sum of its parts.
And the prices are coming in from the betting ring. It's bottle 2-1 Blossom. I can see one bookmaker going 9-4. A Tic Tac is selling 9-4 the favourite. That's Blossom.
I dread to think what the manufacturers or the naming people were thinking about when they gave some of them their names.
We have to find Spike and Lickety Split.
This is Spunky the camel.
The complete outsider, number 2. Bookmakers don't reckon Bluebell's got a chance.
I am a shocked mother of none about those names.
Butterscotch. Butterscotch really being well back, the 5.
Butterscotch is very much a flavour, and that's all.
And it's then on the shoulders, 9-2 against Snozzle.
You see, even saying the word butterscotch snozzle to me exactly explains why anyone who had one should be shunned.
My name's Hope, and I have a My Little Pony collection. Minty, Bluebell, Blossom, Butterscotch, Cotton Candy, and Snuzzle. They're like sort of my favourite, but there's loads that I have that are like twice as my favourite. I'm quite pony mad, actually.
If I met this fine chick now, she was hot, she was like Hailey Berry stunning. And I said, can I hang up my coat? And I opened it and I saw 900 My Little Ponies. Safe to say that me and her ain't making love that night. Right? I'm going home.
This is Jeff, my husband. When I first started collecting ponies, he thought it was just a 1 or 2, like a one-off. But now, he collects them with me. Every time he sees a pony, he gets real excited.
You can get things like all these games,
like a My Little Pony sleeping bag and My Little Pony duvet covers.
Bizarre items like pony walkie-talkies.
The books, the videos.
Bean bags.
The clothes, the brushes.
Dream Castle, which is one of the most famous buildings.
The scarves, the coats, the hats, the earmuffs. A lot.
Why would you want to do that?
I have no idea.
No, you have to have like more than one, because once you get that first one, you're just like, oh, I need more ponies, I need more ponies.
And I've already told prospective males that they will have to put up with that sort of thing in their lives. I've even joked that I want them melted down and put with me in my coffin, so...
Well, what do you think My Little Pony brings to our lives. Or our little ponies, I should say.
I'm lost for words, really.
And they're under starters' orders, and they're off for the Pony Derby. What a break Minty made. But look at the yellow butterscotch. It looks as though the punters have got it right. They're coming close home. The favourites in front, Blossom. Minty dropping right out of contention. It is very close, but Butterscotch gets up on the line.
The ace of spades! The ace of spades!
The Pony Derby is won by good old Butterscotch.
Well, here we all are. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. I hope that Father Christmas remembers to visit.
Well, I think we've all been very good, haven't we?
I should say so. 3 cheers for her ladyship. Hip, hip, hip. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And there's another trip down memory lane later tonight and every night all week. From jumpsuits to JR, I Love 1980 starts at 5 past midnight on BBC Two.